tomorrow on January 6th. I'm very excited. This is our 1776 moment.
My body camera captured the violence of the crowd. I was dragged from the line of officers. I heard someone scream, "I got one!" They began to beat me with what felt like hard metal objects.
You can't allow it to just transfer power peacefully.
I heard chanting from some in the crowd, "Kill him with his own gun." I said as loud as I could manage, "I've got kids."
We have a sea of people. If we flood the Capitol building, go inside.
I ended up on my hands and knees and blind. He yelled at me, shouting, "You will die on your knees."
The people who breached the Capitol on January 6th are being abused. When will the witch hunt come to an end?
One woman in a pink MAGA shirt yelled, "You hear that, guys? This voted for Joe Biden." Then the crowd joined in screaming, "Boo!
You can't allow it to just transfer power the Capitol peacefully are being abused.
This is our 1776 moment.
The indifference is disgraceful.
Officer Harry Dunn.
Called the vilest racist name.
We heard how he was called the N-word more than a dozen times.
The N-word.
The N-word.
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 N-word. N-word.
N-word. Several times.
Repeatedly. 15 times.
A dozen times. This voted for Joe Biden.
This guy sounds like Jussie Smollett.
He's the most popular Capitol Police officer in history.
You've testified before Congress in the Oath Keepers trial. You were awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal by President Biden.
I wrote a book. Harry Dunn probably changed the outcome of 50 elections.
I'm going to try to get through this without crying. Could we expect a run from you in the future?
You can't keep what occurred on January 6th a secret.
If you disagree with what happened, then I don't know what to tell you.
The story that first made headlines is now a obviously disprovable lie.
I left the force after more than 15 years of service, so that today I can announce I'm running for Congress. I'm a law enforcement officer, and I do my best to keep politics out of my job. But in this circumstance, I responded. Well, I voted for Joe Biden. Does my vote not count? Am I nobody? That prompted a torrent of racial epithets. One woman in a pink MAGA shirt yelled, "You hear that, guys? This voted for Joe Biden." Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo! F***ing."
You swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
The first time that Harry told the N-word story was in an anonymous interview in BuzzFeed.
Hey, everybody, this voted for Joe Biden.
The next time that story was told in a New York Times interview, the story escalated a little bit more.
20, 30, 40, 50 people that were there said this N-word voted for Joe Biden.
Good afternoon, sir.
Fine job you're doing there, sir.
I tried.
I don't think this wasn't on the test.
No, it wasn't, and I don't see it in the manual. I don't see it in the manual.
Like, there's no insurrection. Rioting.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Like, calling this a riot makes riots seem.
This is some like.
This is
like some third world shit.
The story eventually was told to the FBI.
Blaze Media acquired access to 2 FBI 302 interview forms.
What's called a 302, and this is basically the FBI special agent. It's in the agent's words.
They're marked unclassified. However, they're under the court's protective order preventing them from being made public.
Those FBI 302s never been released publicly, by the way.
He relayed the story with more specificity by saying that the person who began the chant and led the protesters in the chant was, quote unquote, a Hispanic lady wearing a pink MAGA shirt. In the second FBI interview, Harry changed it and did not include the Hispanic lady designation, just a lady in a pink MAGA shirt.
His new memoir is called You Can Roll It, Stand My Ground.
When his book was released in October of 23, 2 different times and 2 different accountings gave the same story about this lady leading the chant wearing a pink MAGA shirt.
Pink MAGA shirt.
A lady in a pink MAGA shirt.
A woman in a pink MAGA shirt.
Later in the book, when he told the story a 3rd time, he actually said the lady was wearing a pink MAGA hat. For some reason, his editor did not catch that.
The story that first made headlines is now a obviously disprovable lie.
He was called a racial slur more than a dozen times.
The racial slurs he endured.
Racial slur.
The racial slurs.
A racial slur.
Racial slur.
The N-word.
N-word.
The N-word.
The N-word.
The N-word.
I would think that the editor of his book or his ghostwriter would have caught the fact that at one point he was calling her a woman in a pink MAGA shirt. And then later in the book, they describe it as a pink MAGA hat.
Take their helmets! Take their face masks! Take his helmet! This is our country! We own this shit! Surrender! Surrender! Take him up!
The biggest problem with the story is that this is the most video recorded event in history.
In the 2.5 years since the events of January 6, 2021, tens of thousands of hours of audio taken and analyzed from open source cell phone video and DC Metro Police body-worn cameras, nobody has produced recorded evidence to corroborate Dunn's story.
It's always important to tell the truth and be honest about what happened.
In fact, the entirety of the extensive hours of video that Blaze Media has examined revealed no such event.
Now there's video evidence completely contradicts the narrative of Harry Dunn. He ignited the racial narrative by saying that he was called the N-word repeatedly. Obviously, you weren't with Harry Dunn at every moment, but was that your experience? Did anyone throw any racial slurs at you on January 6th?
None. And
you hear from other officers that maybe had that experience?
No.
But the one thing we didn't have was actual audio video proof of a Capitol Police officer being called the N-word by a protester. Until now.
There are people out there helping the Department of Justice and the FBI find the insurrectionists. This group of people call themselves sedition hunters.
These so-called sedition hunters are amateur detectives who come from all walks of life.
You! You!
According to this sedition hunter, former Capitol Police officer Harry Dunn told her that the officer seen on the balcony holding an M4 rifle standing to the left of the group of other officers is the actual officer that Dunn referenced in his book, who had been confronted by insurrectionists and told, "Put your gun down and we'll show you what kind of N-word you really are." She identified that particular cop only as Officer S. This unnamed sedition hunter also shared that Dunn himself is not seen from any camera angle during this time because this was also the moment that Dunn was getting other officers aid.
It was the most photographed crime potentially in American history.
According to the metadata screenshots supplied by the Dutch sedition hunter, this took place at approximately 1:22 p.m. Eastern Time. Given the crowd noise and the distance between Worrell and Officer S,
Don't do that!
It's really not likely that this officer heard the N-word that was being hurled at him. How could anyone even hear that up on that upper terrace?
What's the floor plan? There's a door to the right. That's a cop. back looping around door of police. That's what we're going to do. I think the door's already open. We just need a plan. We need enough people. We need to push forward. Okay. Door right here. We're not going that door. I'm going downstairs. Okay.
Hey guys, I've been in the other room. Listen to me. In the other room on the other side of this door, right here where these feet are standing, there is a glass that if it's broken, you can drop down into a room underneath it. There's also 2 doors in the other room. One at the rear and one to the right when you go in. So people should probably coordinate together if you're going to take this building.
In the photography and the videos that she sent, we see the pink shirted person, which is actually someone wearing a pink hoodie. It's not a MAGA hoodie. It's not a MAGA shirt. There's no MAGA markings on the outfit. And in fact, it's not a lady. It's actually a man. The other problem is there's no pink outfit in the small rotunda at the time when Harry Dunn encountered the 4 Oath Keepers in that location. There is, of course, the other location, which was in the large rotunda, and this was when Jessica Watkins and other of the Oath Keepers took their famous selfie, and the pink hoodie guy is seen standing near them. But that's not the episode that Dunn relates, and this did not happen at the time when Dunn was in the small rotunda having his encounter with the Oath Keepers. From the available video and audio evidence,
I have always had a problem, first of all, with his story about this chanting of the N-word at him.
Lazarus.
David Lazarus, special agent, Nancy Pelosi's head of security.
The story of David Lazarus on January 6th is very simple.
Lawyers for Stuart Rhodes and 4 other members of the Oath Keepers on trial have suggested that the group helped Officer Harry Dunn. Dunn just took the stand and said flat out, quote, they didn't.
Sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Sentenced to 8.5 years in prison.
Sentenced to 12 years in prison. Sentenced to 18 years in prison.
His story that day is he was assisting the evacuation of the Senate at the time that the incident between Officer Harry Dunn and the Oath Keepers began.
Just outside of the rotunda, there was Harry Dunn. He's a Capitol Police officer. He was freaking out. I mean, he was screaming. No! Get the out of here! He had a rifle. He might get taken out, but he was going to take a bunch of people with him. He was definitely in a position where he could have done some damage.
The Oath Keepers lined up between him and the more agitated protesters and assisted him in keeping them off of him.
So we can get this man some help. Back up, we'll get him an ambulance. Back up to that archway, we'll get him an ambulance. We have to secure this. Back up. We're working on getting him an ambulance. Back up. He's right there having difficulty breathing. Back up. He needs an ambulance. Back up. Back up to the archway. Back up. Back up. He needs an ambulance. Back up so we...
Dunn rejected the defense's argument that members of the militia protected him.
I don't conflate my story.
He had 2 separate FBI interviews which were in conflict with one another. In the first FBI interview, he actually gave a favorable story about his encounter with the 4 Oath Keepers.
He stood in front of Harry Dunn for almost 6 minutes.
After he was brought in for his second FBI interview, he changed that story.
He was fighting back insurrectionists across the Capitol while being called the vilest racist names.
So what they did is they brought in another officer, Special Agent David Lazarus, to kind of bolster that story and give it more credibility by saying that when he arrived at the top of those stairs, that he saw Dunn standing at the top of the stairs being hassled by these Oath Keepers. At the time the Harry Dunn Oath Keepers encounter began, he was not in the same building. Lazarus was just not there. He could not have seen, he could not have witnessed what was taking place because Lazarus was in another Senate office building across the street from Constitution Avenue. So we were able to track Lazarus on the Capitol CCTV cameras. Lazarus can be seen moving away from the Capitol building through a lower tunnel at 2:37:59 p.m. Lazarus continues moving toward the Senate office buildings at 2:41:49 p.m. During Officer Lazarus's October 31st trial testimony, he stated that he began his return to the Capitol building after hearing shots fired over Capitol Police radio. That occurred at 2:43 p.m.
14:43 hours.
Here, Lazarus can be seen moving back toward the Capitol at 2:45 p.m. Dunn's encounter with the Oath Keepers began at 2:44 and lasted roughly between 5 and 6 minutes. Here, Lazarus finally emerges from the tunnel back to the Senate side of the Capitol building at 2:48. Dunn falsely testified that Lazarus was already at the location where he encountered the Oath Keepers before he arrived. But Lazarus can be seen at the top of the elevator leading up from the tunnel at 2:48 p.m. on the Senate side of the Capitol, over 4 minutes after Dunn encountered the Oath Keepers on the House side.
I don't conflate my story.
Lazarus then continued to move through a lower level of the Capitol on the Senate side of the building at 2:49 p.m. Dunn's encounter with the Oath Keepers is almost over by now, but Lazarus testified that he saw Dunn in an antagonistic conversation with the Oath Keepers 3 or 4 times.
The Capitol police officer who just took the stand in the Oath Keepers trial blew a hole in one of the defense's theories.
Starting to restore my faith in the Justice Department. Finally, they're charging people with the sedition we saw with our own eyes on live TV.
Lazarus can still be seen in the Senate side of the building at 2:50 p.m. At 2:52 p.m., Lazarus can be seen continuing his progression toward the House side of the Capitol. The 4 Oath Keepers are no longer standing a line between Officer Dunn and those contentious protesters as they had moved into the rotunda and began heading toward the east doors to exit the building. At 2:54 p.m., Lazarus continues moving toward the House side of the Capitol. He is still 1 level down from where Dunn and the Oath Keepers encounter had already concluded minutes earlier. At 6 p.m., Lazarus is still 1 floor below and is still not arrived at the staircase where he claimed to have seen Dunn's encounter with the 4 Oath Keepers. By this time, those Oath Keepers had already left the rotunda and are about to exit the east doors. Finally, at 2:56, Lazarus can be seen reaching the bottom of the staircase, at the top of which he claimed to have witnessed Dunn's very antagonistic interaction with 4 Oath Keepers 3 or 4 times while rescuing 11 or 12 of Pelosi's staff from their offices. The problem with that is it just never happened.
He was then shown in court a video clip of 4 Oath Keepers standing in front of Dunn. Lazarus was asked, "Are these the individuals you observed?"
He said, "Yes, that's the ones that I saw Harry Dunn with." Except that he couldn't have because he was in another building a quarter of a mile away.